Hello and welcome back. I'm Judson and this is a Boozy Cinnamon Roll, and we are doing 25 days of day drinking and crafting. We are well past the midway point and starting on the downhill slide, and I can tell because this is no longer the tidy, organized craft room that it was when I began. It took me 3 days to load in. I mean, not 3 full days, but three trips from the house with tubs of crafting stuff, and I am afraid it's going to take me a week to get this mess gone. But yeah, here we are, crafting over at my son Matthew's house. He had an empty room. I had too much stuff for the house. Seemed like a good idea at the time. Today we're going to do maybe a little quieter, a little easier craft than some of the others that I had to have help with. And we're going to do a little decoupage ornaments. I've got these, well, they were clear plastic Christmas balls that I got from Michael's a couple years ago. And I think we got, I think the container was like 20 or 50, something like that, and I used like 4 the first year. Yeah, but anyway, I painted them with white chalk paint, and it didn't do a great job, but decent enough to cover it, because we're gonna decoupage napkins over it. And we're going to pull out my handful of paintbrushes. I've got, let's put it where you can see it, 2 chopsticks here, and we're just going to pop these on the ends of the chopsticks like so. And then I've got napkins. I've got this traditional Christmas one that I've used a couple of times and talked about, where I thought it was going to be all Christmas trees, but when you unfold it, dun dun dun, it's just Christmas trees on this panel. The rest of them are snowflakes. Not that I'm opposed to snowflakes, but was thinking it was going to be a lot of these Christmas trees. But so this is the first one. And then I think on the second one, we're going to go with this. It's kind of a fun alternative, pink flamingos and then the light blue. Not Christmassy at all, but the pink and the blue is kind of vintage colored and kind of appeals to that aesthetic that we've done on a few of our ornaments this year. So I'm going to start with those 2, and basically, if you haven't decoupage napkins before, they're usually 2 or 3 ply, and what I do to get the plies separated is I just put a piece of tape on the back of the napkin, and then put my glasses on so that I can see what I'm doing. Just kind of carefully peel the tape back with that extra ply, like so. And it gently gives you the 1 ply. And you can use the blank ply. I think I've mentioned before, there's tutorials out there how you could turn it into a rice paper-like paper substance with glue or Mod Podge, and I've done that, so that is an option. I'm just going to set it to the side now. And we've got this, and essentially, I mean, in theory, you could figure out how much is going to cover one ball, and then cut it, and then cut relief lines in it, and then kind of overlap it. And that is an option, but I think that what I'm going to do is just kind of cut out some smaller pieces, because I know I'm going to have to overlap it to give it, you know, a good coverage. So I'm just going to kind of cut out more or less these diamond shaped pieces. And it's not exactly diamond shaped, but pieces like that, and then see how that goes. Let's cut out a few more here for the first one. And you certainly, if you only wanted green snowflakes on this one, you could certainly go in and cut out just the green snowflakes or just the red snowflakes and use just those if that's your aesthetic. That seems a little fussy for what I'm working with, so we're just gonna I am gonna cut them out, like I said, but not that specific. And I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with the flamingos yet. We'll see. I was hoping I could find some penguin napkins, but I have not yet been successful. Of course, I haven't really looked online either. I've mostly just looked in the grocery store or looked in the napkin drawer. Like these were left over from last Christmas, and Matthew had 6 or 7 stuck in the napkin drawer at his house, so I swiped them, and these I think have been floating around the buffet at our house, so kind of using up what we've got, because Lord knows there's not enough room in this room for any more anything. And then we're going to use some Mod Podge, good old-fashioned Mod Podge, although I do still have my hefty Elmer's glue, but since I've got the Mod Podge on hand, we'll use that. And I'm just pouring a little bit in the lid here. And I'm gonna grab a paintbrush, and I'm gonna start, see, this is me learning. Usually I start here, and then when I get up here, it's already a gluey mess, and I don't wanna touch the bottom because I don't wanna mess up what I've already done. But I'm learning. I'm gonna start here near the top so that I'm finishing up here and I don't have to try and, like, am I getting it close enough to the rim when I get to the end. And basically, just putting a little bit of the podge on the paintbrush, and then just applying it to a small space here on the ornament. And then I'm going to take a piece of the napkin and kind of lay it over the Mod Podge and gently tap it down with my finger. I've mentioned before, this particular one is a little bit thicker than your typical napkin, so it does a good job of laying down without wrinkling, although I suspect on this I'm gonna get wrinkles, but I'm okay with that. Just kind of smoothing it down into the Mod Podge, like so. And then I'm gonna go in on the edges where I didn't get Mod Podge the first time, so that we can attach those down. A little bit over here. And tap that down with my finger, kind of smooth that in. Yeah, I'm already getting a little bit of wrinkles, but that's okay. I think if I had used smaller pieces, that might have eliminated that. And then I'm gonna just go back in gently with a little bit more Mod Podge over the top to kind of seal that in. And I already like how it's turning out. Yay me! That is a Sweet Life of Zach and Cody reference to the Disney Channel. Not that that has anything to do with anything, just that my boys watched it growing up, so anytime one or the other would be in a self-congratulatory mood, they would say, yay me! All right, so you can kind of see you've got the Christmas vibe. Got the snowflakes going on there. I like that. So let's move on to the second piece. Just preparing the surface here with a A bit more Mod Podge. There is a family joke. I'm not exactly sure. Years ago, our friend Heather from college, who, if you are a fan of the blog, will know I have mentioned Heather before. She's a good friend. In college, she was in a sorority and did her share of poster making and whatnot. And she had a hoodie that she wore for years, a gray hoodie. And at the time when my boys were growing up, she still had the hoodie, or maybe it was a new hoodie. I'm telling this story in such a backwards way. But you know, it was her everyday. I wear it when I'm cold. I craft in it. I work out in it. I cook in it, clean house in it. It wasn't like a fancy dress up hoodie by any means. And it had like paint stains and Mod Podge stains, and only the Mod Podge isn't really a stain. It's a place where it's saturated into the fabric and gotten hard and would not wash out. And so several times when Heather was over wearing the thing, she would say, "It's just Mod Podge on the sleeve. Don't worry, it's just Mod Podge on the sleeve." And my boys picked that up, and so for whatever it is that has stained their clothes, blood, glue, any kinds of food stains, wine stains, anything, they always say, "Oh, don't worry about that. It's just Mod Podge on the sleeve. It's just a little Mod Podge on the sleeve." And it's like, you're bleeding profusely from your arm. It's not Mod Podge on the sleeve. And then they just, "Oh, no, don't worry about it. It's just Mod Podge on the sleeve." So it was kind of our Mod Podge joke. All right. And I'm gonna rip this one. You can cut the edges or rip them. It doesn't really matter because we're covering it up. But I know some people, they don't like to cut it because they don't want to have to. It's easier to hide the torn edges than it is to hide like a straight cut. But in this case, I don't think it matters over much. And yeah, it's definitely going to have a little bit of a wrinkled look, but that is okay. So let me show you what we've got. Ooh, coming up there. Let me show you what we've got thus far. You can kind of see, I probably will have to go back in with the second coat over top to make sure everything is laying down flat, but we're getting there. And I'm moving on towards, well, I've got this side here that is not quite the bottom, but let's give that a coat of the Mod Podge. So if you're watching and you hear me say, "Oh, don't worry, that's just Mod Podge," you'll get the reference. Tap, tap, tap. A little bit more going over this. So I'm curious, how many of you watching have been watching the other days of my 25 days of Christmas? Because honestly, that's a lot. Although, There is a creator, I want to say her first name is Cindy, but she's Queen Bee Creations here on the YouTube. She did 30 days of Christmas in November, and like, I'm a huge fan. Like, I totally was just watching that, and like every couple of days go in and, you know, watch the next 2 or 3. All right, I've got one little spot left here. Yeah. Thus far, I don't think I've used her intro as a greeting, and I don't think I've done any of her crafts, but if I do, I mean, I certainly will, because I'm trying to do a good job about giving credit where it's due. And why am I stealing people's greetings? Although in this one I didn't. I have mentioned this before, but I have another channel that is for children, and I filmed those in 2020, 2021 during the quarantine, and a very specific greeting that I used on that channel that is for kids. And every time I sit down to film one of these, it takes like every bit of self-control I have not to use that same greeting. And I mean, certainly this is not for children. What with the day drink? Oh, I totally forgot I'm day drinking. See, it's already. This is ginger ale and the apple pie liqueur, again, because it apparently is this year's favorite. I really like it. Yeah, I'm talking about the day drinking, and I haven't even had any or even mentioned it. Good job, good job. But so, clearly, this is not a channel for children. So I don't want to overflow in any way. I don't want to, you know, to have anyone expecting the one, finding the other, and then being confused or surprised. So that's why I'm looking for a new greeting. I haven't found one I really like, although today I just kind of winged it. But so if you have been watching, oftentimes you'll hear me use someone else's greeting, and then I'll say, hey, this greeting was Queen Bee Creations or whatever. All right. Okay, so here we go. I'm pleased with it. I'm gonna let it dry, and then once it's dry, maybe hit it with another coat of the Mod Podge. Not perfect, but I'm happy with it. Let's take that back over here. Now for the penguins. See, one little sip. All right, goodness, one little sip. My alarm went off. I turned the camera off, kept on talking to you for another 15 minutes like some kind of fool while I'm working on the second project. So can't show you that. And I was just saying, hopefully I'll fast forward when I edit through this part, and then I realized the camera was off. So I've spared you having to watch 15 minutes of me work on this, but basically I followed the same thing. I took the Flamingo napkin, I separated the plies. I did notice that on the Flamingo napkin, the pink bled through onto the clear ply, so the plain blank ply. So this would be a good one for the rice paper treatment, which basically I use a silicone mat. I put the napkin down on the silicone mat and I paint it with glue, leave it to dry, peel it off, flip it over, do the same on the back, and then you get kind of a rice paper texture. I don't know, I saw it on the interwebs. I don't know who though. If I come across it again, I'll try and tag them in this. But one of those junk journal crafting pages, I'm fairly sure of. But anyway, so this is where we are now. On this one, I did the method that I mentioned. I cut out a square that was big enough and started at the bottom, went up the sides, and then cut out, like made relief cuts and like cut out pieces as we got closer to the top, which is where I am now. This is less forgiving, and I feel like I'm losing a lot of the flamingos. I mean, you can kind of see them on the bottom, but like you can see they're kind of a Mod Podge of mix match flamingos on the side. But that's where we are. I would say maybe don't do that if you're gonna replicate this. I mean, in theory it works, but maybe if you're not using something as patterned as this, and if you are gonna do the flamingos, maybe go and cut out individual flamingos and kind of go over that. And maybe that's what we'll do. Maybe once I'm done covering the whole thing with the napkin, I can go in and add some, cover up the worst of the flamingo mutilations that are happening. The paper flamingo. I'm not actually obviously mutilating real flamingos, but you just have to be careful on the internet, because people will oftentimes take what you said and misinterpret it. There is a creator that has a channel, and for the life of me, I can't remember what it is off the top of my head, but a very nice lady, you know, by all accounts, and like seems very sweet and very kind, you know, on her channel. And she was doing a craft, and she said, well, what she meant was that as she was reaching the end of the craft, it just needed something like a little embellishment of some type to really, you know, finish the craft off. So what she did, seeing that it needed the embellishment, was she went into the other room, either where her Christmas tree was or where her craft stash was, and took a Dollar Tree ornament from the ornaments that she had already had in her home. But what she said was, I just went and stole one of these Dollar Tree ornaments and used it for the embellishment. Now, I understood what she meant, but, you know, of course I have to jump instantly to the comments, and all of these people really thought this woman went into the Dollar Tree, stole one little ornament. Like, it wasn't even, it was just like smaller than one of these. And I was laughing. And then, you know, poor thing, and she was like, I would never. I was like, dear heart, of course not. But it just cracked me up because everyone was like, oh, she stole it. No, I mean, yes, words matter, but also like context. So when I say I'm mutilating flamingos, please do not think that I have actually harmed any actual flamingos. Okay. I just folded a lot of paper over them and made kind of a gluey mess. All right, since the bottom seems to be the least affected, let's set that there for a minute and look and see if I can just carefully cut out a few individuals and use those to mask the mess I made. Paul was saying the other day, Like, is it really Christmas, Paul, my son Paul, is it really Christmas crafting if you don't have glitter everywhere? Which, I mean, that is true, much to Matthew's annoyance, because he has said a few times, Pop, is there any way that we could try to contain the glitter to just that room? It's like, son, I'm trying. I mean, we haven't even started decorating his house, I mean, for Christmas yet. So it's not like the ornaments are, dropping glitter as they're, being employed, but it sort of is everywhere, and it sort of, if it's on an ornament, then it's on me, then it's in his house, then it's on him, and it's kind of funny. So Paul was saying that, like, how do you know it's Christmas crafting if there's not glitter everywhere? Which is true, but also a corollary would be like, is it even really Christmas crafting if you haven't had to like go back and fix what you were doing, what you thought was just going to go flawlessly? Because 100% I am guilty of that. I see something and I go, oh, I can do that. How hard can that be? And then I fail spectacularly on camera with people watching, because, that apparently is my vibe. So I am gently, carefully trying to cover up some of these flamingos that I managed to distort their appearance the first time around. And I don't know if that's actually working or not, but I mean, a little bit it seems to. Okay, here's another spot. And my fingers are sticky, and so I'm picking up the napkins and the napkin pieces, and oh look, that one's already stuck to my paintbrush, getting it everywhere. But let me finish this one real quick, and then I'll show you what we've got thus far. And then the last one right here. All right. My finger stuck to the ornament there. So you can see, hopefully you can see, I went in and kind of covered some of the spots where I had misaligned the flamingos. All right, so that is that. We're gonna let these dry. Once they're dry, I may have to put another coat of Mod Podge to kind of seal them in. And then I will pop the hardware back in and we'll hang them on the tree, and you'll get to see that in the reveal here in a minute. If you watch the whole video, I appreciate you, honestly. It's been fun, and like I said, we're on the downhill slide. Hopefully I'll make all 25. Why are we doing it? For fun, basically, to spread a little holiday cheer. I'm all about the day drinking and crafting and taking a little time out from your regular schedule to do fun things during the holiday season. I appreciate you. This is a YouTube channel, so do all the things: like, follow, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, hype me up, all the things. I appreciate you. And I hope that you're having a great holiday season. Thanks for stopping in today, and hopefully we'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.